Hey guys, it's Reggie. I'm very excited today. As I've told y'all before, this is a big day on our calendar. I'm meeting with Stephen Badger here with Zell Law Firm.
Yep.
Yeah, and as you guys mostly know, this is the architect really behind the law changes that have occurred in Texas, or at least kind of the chief architect, right? I know you've had people working with
I
you.
was very involved. Let's say that.
Yeah. And so the point of this today, Stephen, is I want these guys just to understand the difference between fact and fiction, right? Because these guys have to have a way to navigate to still have successful businesses, and so them having all the information rather than just a portion of it, I think is really important. And so I really appreciate your time today. Let's talk about the big issue that everybody is rumbling about right now, and that's the issue of covering deductibles. I know that you have, I pulled out all your notes. So why don't you talk to us a little bit about, the deductible covering issue and how that's made its way through legislation and where we are today.
Sure, it's always been illegal in Texas to waive deductibles, but the law was poorly written. There was no enforcement. So after every storm, we had deductible leaders go out there and sucker homeowners into jobs where you and I both know that that contractor was not actually going to absorb that. They cut corners and they did things wrong. So when I speak to contractor groups, and I've spoken to a lot of them over the past several years, the number one complaint I get is, hey Badger, let's fix the deductible problem. And I represent the insurance industry, but that's something we had in common, right? So I said, yeah, I'll do it. I will work with the legislature and do what we can to make that happen. So RCAT, North Texas Roofing, they stepped up, worked with us, and we got it done.
Yeah, so what's interesting is what you said to begin with, is that it's been a law since 1989. It was interesting, though, I read through some of your documentation that, the Attorney General at the time was the one that wrote some kind of opinion op or some kind of, that basically said it wasn't enforceable. Is that kind of explain why people kind of went crazy on this?
Yeah, because there was no way to enforce it. The only enforcement in the old legislation was criminal enforcement. And the AG said the law is ambiguous, so there was no way to enforce it. So what we've tried to do is create a way now with new legislation that has some real enforcement mechanisms.
On who?
Yeah, on the contractor. So there's the plan is now, as the new legislation, is that every contractor has to have in its contract a statement that Texas homeowners must pay their deductibles. Plain and simple. So that's the first primary objective, is to educate homeowners in Texas that the days of the free roof are over. And that's the initial push. And there's other enforcement we can talk about.
So what about the homeowner? I mean, because to me, I've seen homeowners kind of getting involved in this, almost asking for their deductible, maybe because they're preconditioned or whatever, but is there any teeth in this from a deductible standpoint that's enforceable upon the homeowner?
Yeah, so the original legislation as introduced had an enforcement mechanism, had a criminal penalty on both the homeowner and the contractor. Because of legislative issues that we could talk about over a beer one evening, that's much longer than this, the enforcement against the homeowner came out, but the only enforcement, the criminal enforcement, is just against the contractor, which in my opinion is why the language is so important now to educate homeowners that the days of the free deductible are over.
Can you talk a little bit more in detail about what that language needs to be? Is there boilerplates for that, or how does that work?
Yeah, the statute's very clear. It says it has to be in such and such font, such and such size, and this language. So it's real simple. Every contractor in Texas right now ought to be changing their contract forms to put that language in there in real big letters, and when they walk out to the job and they tell the homeowner, hey, I want to do your work, and the homeowner says, are you going to waive my deductible? The contractor can say, no, I can't. Here it is, Texas law, September 1, 2019. I cannot do it. You have to pay your deductible.
So it's kind of incumbent on the contractor to start educating the homeowner, because that's kind of what put us in this place. There were a lot of contractors that were educating the homeowner on getting deductibles covered. Now it's kind of incumbent upon us as an industry to go to the homeowners and go like, this is the rules of the game, so to speak.
So that's 1/3 of it, right? So we didn't want to put all the onus on the contractors. So there's 3 components to education. The first component is the contract. It's got to be there. The language must be in there, and the contractor can talk to the homeowner. The second component is that the insurance companies now, when the homeowner goes to get the replacement cost holdback payment, the insurance company has the right to request recoverable depreciation, RCB holdback. They have the right to request reasonable proof that the deductible has been paid. So that's the second part. There's kind of a private enforcement mechanism by the insurance industry.
Right.
The third is that the Texas Department of Insurance now has been brought into the statute, because under the old statute it was just the Attorney General, because it was in the Business and Commerce Code. Now part of the statute is in the Texas Insurance Code, which means the TDI has responsibility to create an education program to educate Texas homeowners that deductibles must be paid.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you talked about something just a minute ago, and I want to be corrected, and I'll do this in front of everybody if I need to be. But to me, really the fraudulent behavior with deductible covering had everything to do with recoverable depreciation, right? ACV money was the money that was just allocated for aging condition of the roof today. And if homeowners didn't replace here's why I want your correction, because I know a lot of guys think about this. If a homeowner wanted to take ACV money and just apply it to their out-of-pocket cost and not work and have some of the work like gutters, you've seen this, gutters not done, number one, is that illegal?
Yeah, it's illegal if you misrepresent to the insurance company the amount that was incurred in performing the work. We all know the insurance company has to pay the ACV measure regardless of whether the work's performed.
Yeah.
But in the past, when deductibles were waived, right, they would say, okay, here, we're going to waive the deductible, we're going to include the fence and the gutters, but we won't do those. Right. Well, then when they go back, when the contractor and the homeowner go back and say, we're all done, and they represented that the fence and the gutters were done, but they weren't, that's insurance fraud.
Right, and that's where I think most guys in Texas don't really understand. It's not like that they can't use that money, but they can't bill for the work that was never done, correct?
That's right. That when you submit an RCV holdback request, you are representing to the insurance company that this work was finished. And so now we're going to have to be careful that when you go in and say, I'm done, and the insurance company says, give me proof the deductible was paid, that's going to eliminate this problem.
Yeah.
We think. There's always a loophole. There's people going to try to get around it. But we think that the key here is educating consumers that the day of the free roof are over.
So what would you suggest the guys watching this video today could do to help that process go forward with homeowners?
Yeah, the most important thing is put the language in your contract in bold print and make sure the homeowner knows going in, hey, your deductible must be paid. If someone has promised to waive, rebate, advertise credit, all these other things that are now not allowed, you are going to be implicated in an insurance fraud scheme.
Guys, I would use this video as a sales tool. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
If I were you, I would reshare this video. I'd never ask you guys to reshare anything. But I'm telling you, this is to your advantage. To be able to put in front of homeowners this type of understanding from the architect behind the bill, so to speak, that can help them make more informed decisions, right? Well, I guess one of the last things that I would ask you about, and I think you've already described it, but who really is the target for this change?
Yeah, the target is the contractor who's trying to rip people off by trying to do the job as cheaply as possible.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the ways to get in the door is to waive deductible. We want to make sure that all contractors are on a level playing field. That the good contractors who want to do the job right have the ability to get the job because they're going to collect the deductible. That's important. Now also my insurance company clients, I want to make sure that people don't commit fraud against them. And that's important to me also.
So stop billing for work you're not doing and this thing goes, I mean seriously. Some of this is as a result of the way we've run our businesses, and that is we're actually trying to, and I don't want to get off the subject, but if guys, the other thing that I think you're helping guys to understand by collecting deductible is that's a huge amount of profit in a job that's allocated for in a claim that they're just throwing away. So they only see one side of this business, and I'm telling you that by collecting deductible, your profits will increase simply just by simple math. And so I guess the last thing I'd ask you is this. I've had, and I'm not going to call names, get me in trouble, but I've had guys ask me about what about separate agreements or side agreements, that basically allow for, and I've heard it not as much as you do, but I hear all guys trying to figure out a way around this thing. So even if they have a side agreement with a homeowner that's not in the contract, can they do that?
No, because at the end of the day, if you have a side agreement for the homeowner not to pay the deductible, two things are going to happen. When the insurance company requests for proof of payment of the deductible from the homeowner, what are they going to do? They're going to lie to the insurance company? So that's an insurance fraud issue. That's number one. Number two, then, when you go to request the RCV holdback and you misrepresent and don't advise that there was some deal in violation of the statute, again, you're committing insurance fraud. So are people going to try to get around it? Yeah. And if they do, I'd like to hear about it.
Well, Stephen, this is a three-part video series that we're going to do. This is the end on deductible. Is there anything that you want to leave with that we hadn't discussed in this issue of deductible? Is there anything in particular that I've missed?
I'm excited about the legislation because it helps consumers. I kept hearing about consumers getting ripped off by bad contractors who came in with promises of a free roof and didn't deliver.
Right.
So I feel best about this legislation in that we're helping consumers not get ripped off, and we're putting all contractors on a level playing field.
Last question, how quickly do you see other states adopting similar practice, or are they?
Yeah, other states already have anti-waiving statutes. I think that this one is pretty good. I'm excited about how it turned out. I suspect this could be a model for other states, as often Texas laws are models for other states.
Yeah, a lot of damage here, a lot of activity goes on, and generally they're going to correct market here in Texas, beginning in Texas. Stephen, thank you so much. Guys, my next video is going to be about UPPA in particular. You really want to clue into this, but thank you so much for the insight, and we'll talk to y'all tomorrow.